Alright, y'all, welcome back to World History AP with Mr. Leveridge. This is going to be Unit 2, Day 3. Some reminders before we get started, as always. Please make sure you have your history notebook out, you're taking notes as you move through the video. And please make sure that you're completing the vocabulary for this video, which will be on the next slide, and as always, down in the description. Some key terms are going to be scientific revolution, enlightenment, Mary Wollstonecraft, Kepler, Galileo, Newton, Voltaire, Locke, Montesquieu, and deism. Key concepts for today are going to be the intellectual development in Western Europe during the early modern period. So, in the early modern period, we get a few more changes. We get what is known as mass culture begin to arise. Mass culture is also known as common culture, and what this allows is for some luxuries to become very common even amongst the poorer class. This also allows for the rise of leisure time, even if you're poor, so you're not always working from sunup to sundown. There is time where you can just kind of relax and think and just kind of exist. This is also going to be the rise of professional entertainment, tennis, Shakespeare, theater. This is going to be really when you have your rise of music. Also, some agricultural changes are going to occur during this time, leading to an increase in food. The act of draining swamps, breeding animals to produce more food, new farming techniques. We also have the introduction of the New World's crops, such as the potato, which is going to also increase the amount of food in Europe, thus leading to an increase in population. Near the end of this unit, we'll see a massive increase in manufacturing due to the Industrial Revolution. And due to this, we have new social classes that form. We have a rise of entrepreneurial class with great wealth. These are the people who make the factories and build the factories and run the factories. And then you also have the rise of the technological managerial class, which are going to be the managers of these factories. At the same time, we also have the rise of urban and rural working class. These are referred to at times as the proletariat or the working poor. They were paid low wages and often worked in terrible, horrible conditions. And they were at the mercy of price revolutions, which we'll get to in the next day. But as again, due to new food and new ways of growing food and way of getting the food and ways to transport that food, we get an increase in population, which of course causes people to move to cities, which increases poverty. Due to increased urbanization and poverty, this leads to increased social tensions, where peasants revolt, especially during the Reformation. But due to the rise of early capitalism and the independence, both all economically, socially, and emotionally for the family, this kind of quells a lot of those kind of misgivings, and this is also kind of increases that families love each other and aren't just together to succeed in a system that was very unfair. But the Renaissance is also going to see an expansion of women's rights and even some intellectual and educational opportunities. But these rights are going to be quickly taken back when the Protestant Reformation and the Catholic Reformation come into full swing. Protestants and Catholics both emphasize the role of women as a family role, like in a house, and they're taking care of the kids and keeping where they live okay. They're kind of very much cook, clean, make babies. And for a while, this leads to an increase in witch hunts for women who want to gain intellect and want to kind of succeed. The Reformation kind of feeds this idea of hysteria, and that women are witches and worship the devil. And over a period of 100, 150, 200 years, 60,000 people are executed in these witch hunts, and 95% of them are women. 60,000 is a lot of people just to be executed for supposed, not even provable devil worship. Um, Now, with the commercial and capitalist revolution, many women merchants are very successful. They kind of push past these Protestant and Catholic roles, and due to the increase of capitalism, they actually become extremely successful. Over time, education becomes more accessible to women, and that was one of the few avenues that were actually open to women to become so quote unquote successful. And most higher class women or aristocratic women were extremely successful. The Enlightenment saw the Enlightenment in the 1700s saw the first major victories for women's rights. Women in France, which is going to be the center of the Enlightenment, are actually going to run like intellectual salons, which are like a place where you can go and talk and read and have conversations. And it's kind of similar between a tea shop and a library. Many women became very prominent as philosophies or philosophes, such as Madame de Stael and Mary Wollstonecraft. Now, Mary Wollstonecraft is going to write several books on women's rights. It's going to be very influential in the women's rights movements in the early 20th century. Another revolution that takes place during this time is something known as the scientific revolution. This is going to kind of readdress the conception of our solar system and the universe. And a gentleman by the name of Copernicus is going to come up with a new theory, the heliocentric theory. And the heliocentric theory is that the Earth and the planetary bodies revolve around the sun. Before Copernicus' theory, many people believed in the Ptolemaic theory, where that the heavenly bodies or the planets and the stars revolved around the Earth. Copernicus proves this wrong, and many scientists and people begin to believe the Copernican theory. This is going to be further proven and emphasized by Galileo Galilei, who is going to support the Copernican theory, but he's also kind of arrested by the Catholic Church and kind of forced through the threat of death to recount his teachings and his ideas. Now, a few other people, we have Johannes Kepler. He's going to demonstrate that planetary orbits are elliptical. And of course, we have Isaac Newton. He's going to have or set up mathematical equations of laws that govern movements of bodies, of objects. He's going to be really kind of physics oriented. And Newton's work really becomes the symbol of the scientific revolution due to direct observation and mathematical reasoning. Some scientific revolution things, of course, we have inventions. We have the thermometers, compound microscopes, telescopes, barometers. Even the theory of gravity comes due to Newton. Our next big one is known as the Enlightenment, and this really kind of kicks off between the 1500s and the 1700s, but really starts to gain pace in the 1700s. Now, Enlightenment thinkers are called philosophes, and they really seek to the kind of govern. They seek the natural laws to govern human society, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Now, the center of the Enlightenment was France. That's where it kind of starts and it kind of resonates outward. And they really wanted the theory of progress was kind of the ideology of these philosophes. They apply reason and science to govern society, government, and laws. A few of these kind of Enlightenment thinkers that really begin to push it are going to be Voltaire. Voltaire is really considered the father of Enlightenment, and he's really going to champion religious and individual freedom. Then we have John Locke, life, liberty, and property. He's really going to kind of push for that 1689 English Bill of Rights, which John Locke really is going to champion the idea that the government is ruled by it should be subjected to the governed instead of the government objecting the people. Now, Adam Smith also going to rise in this time. He's going to develop the laws of supply and demand to determine price. We have Montagues, and he's really going to be checks, balance government. He's really going to be what the United States is really going to lean on for its governmental organization. Most Enlightenment thinkers in this time were deists. Deism is a kind of offshoot of Christianity. They accept the existence of a god, but the god doesn't have any direct control over everyday life. He's more of a clockmaker, where a clockmaker creates the clock and then it just works. It just does what it does. And that a clock is very organized and very rational. And this is going to Deism kind of orders the universe according to rational natural laws such as science and physics and chemistry, and it's really kind of people are going to start to see this, and they're kind of not necessarily lose faith in their own religion, but this will weaken the influence of organized religion. And of course, the Enlightenment is going to come up with the social contract, where the government has a social contract with the people, right? The people give power to the government. The government protects the rights of the people. If these things do not, if the government misuses its power, the people replace it, overthrow it. This is kind of the cycle of social contracts and revolutions. So that's where we're going to end today. Please make sure that you're following along with your notes. Please make sure you're completing the vocabulary for this video as well, which is, of course, at the beginning of this video and down in the description. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in class.